The Horrors Unveiled, Unmasking Serial Killer Luis Garavito. Luis Garavito, also known as the Beast, or La Bestia, was a name that struck fear into the hearts of many in Colombia. Born on January 25, 1957, Garavito would later become one of the most prolific and horrifying serial killers in history. His sinister tale began in the late 1990s, when the mangled bodies of young boys started appearing across the country. Garavito's brutal crimes shocked the nation, leaving communities in disbelief and parents gripped by terror. As investigators delved into his dark past, they uncovered a chilling trail of at least 138 victims, although the true number may be much higher. The tale of the Beast is one filled with unimaginable horror, shedding light on the depths of human depravity and the haunting legacy left behind by a merciless killer. Luis Garavito's early life and upbringing in Colombia offers a glimpse into the disturbing origins of a man who would later become one of the world's most notorious serial killers. Born in 1957, Garavito grew up in a poverty-stricken environment beset by violence. His father's untimely death left the family struggling to make ends meet, forcing Garavito to drop out of school at a young age. This lack of education, coupled with a deep-seated resentment and a troubled home life, shaped his twisted perspective of the world. As he ventured into his teenage years, Garavito discovered a sinister fascination with vulnerable children that would ultimately consume his existence. The harrowing background of Luis Garavito lays bare the unsettling foundation upon which his horrific crimes would later be built. In the early 1990s, in the seemingly peaceful towns of Colombia, a chilling darkness arose with the emergence of Luis Garavito. With a disarming smile and a compassionate demeanor, he cunningly lured young and vulnerable boys into his malevolent grip. Garavito preyed on children who were often neglected, orphaned, or living on the streets, exploiting their fragile circumstances for his sadistic pleasure. Astoundingly, it is believed that he targeted at least 138 victims, although some estimates speculate the number may be much higher. His method was as horrifying as it was insidious, gaining the trust of unsuspecting children, mentoring them, and gradually escalating to sexual abuse and ultimate murder. This grotesque beginning marked the start of a spree that would continue with an insatiable appetite for innocent young lives. Once upon a time, in the dark corners of Colombia, a sinister predator lurked. His name was Garavito, a name that would become synonymous with unspeakable horror. As investigators delved into his twisted world, they were haunted by the sheer magnitude of his crimes. The high number of victims attributed to Garavito, estimated to be over 300, sent shockwaves through the nation. His modus operandi was simple but chillingly effective, targeting vulnerable young boys, offering them kindness before unleashing his sadistic desires. Each victim carried within them an agonizing tale of shattered innocence, a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. It is with a heavy heart that we tell this story, paying homage to the innocent lives lost at the hands of this monstrous predator. In the dark annals of true crime history, one name that sends shivers down the spines of many is that of Luis Garavito. Known as the Beast, Garavito's chilling modus operandi and manipulation techniques were utterly horrifying. His method involved targeting vulnerable and impoverished young boys, often street children, preying on their innocence and trust. With a mesmerizing smile, he would lure them away with promises of gifts or money, exploiting their desperation. Once in his clutches, Garavito subjected his victims to unspeakable acts of cruelty, making them endure a living nightmare. The sheer scale of his atrocities is chilling, as he is believed to have claimed the lives of over 300 innocent children. Garavito's ability to manipulate his victims, blending into their lives seamlessly, is a harrowing reminder of the depths of human depravity. In the late 1990s, Colombia was gripped by fear as the bodies of young boys started appearing across the country. The sadistic killer responsible for these heinous crimes was none other than Luis Alfredo Garavito, a man who would go down in history as one of the world's most prolific child murderers. Garavito preyed on vulnerable street children, luring them with promises of food, money, or work before subjecting them to unimaginable torture and ultimately death. However, authorities were not idle in their pursuit. Finally, in 1999, after an intense investigation by Colombian police, Garavito was captured and brought to justice. His capture brought relief to a terrified nation and served as a grim reminder of the evil that can lurk within our midst. In the realm of true crime, few investigations have unraveled with as many shocking discoveries as the case of the notorious serial killer, Mark Anderson. As the authorities delved deeper into his dark and twisted mind, they stumbled upon a room in his basement that sent chills down their spines. Covered in bloodstains, the room held a macabre collection of trophies, souvenirs from his heinous acts. Severed locks of hair, jewelry, and even preserved body parts were meticulously displayed, each one representing a life brutally snuffed out. Furthermore, the meticulous murderer left behind an array of evidence that linked him undeniably to the crimes, from meticulously kept journals detailing his twisted fantasies to DNA samples collected from his victims. The puzzle pieces came together, unveiling a tale of horror that defied comprehension. In the courtroom, as the legal proceedings unfolded, the weight of the truth hung heavily in the air. Survivors bravely took the stand, reliving the horrors they had endured, their voices trembling with raw emotion. Families of the victims sat united, seeking justice for their loved ones stolen by an unfathomable evil. One by one they bravely recounted their stories, painting a vivid picture of the terrifying moments that forever altered their lives. Their testimonies were powerful, unveiling the extent of the pain, fear, and anguish they had endured. Each word carried the weight of their immense grief, but also the unwavering determination to hold the perpetrator accountable. The court listened intently, acknowledging the bravery and resilience residing within these individuals, as their stories wove a compelling narrative that could not be ignored. In the realm of true crime, there are tales that remind us of the power of collective effort and unwavering dedication to justice. One such story revolves around the remarkable support and exhaustive efforts of authorities and organizations in seeking justice for the victims. These courageous individuals, driven by an insatiable desire for truth, worked tirelessly to bring closure and solace to grieving families. From the diligent detectives who meticulously sifted through evidence, to the tenacious prosecutors who fought for justice in the courtroom, their determination was unwavering. Equally deserving of praise are the compassionate organizations that provided support and resources, offering a guiding light for those affected by tragedy. It is through their collective strength and resilience that justice was ultimately achieved, reminding us of the power that comes in unity when faced with adversity. In the annals of Colombia's justice system, one name sends shivers down the spine of its citizens: Luis Garavito. Known as La Bestia, the Beast, Garavito's case stands as a harrowing testament to the flaws within the system. Convicted of the heinous murder and abuse of over 140 young boys in the 1990s, the staggering scale of his crimes begged for an adequate punishment. However, the subsequent sentencing of Garavito raised questions about the effectiveness and fairness of Colombia's justice system. Sentenced to a mere 22 years in prison, the implications of such leniency ignited outrage among the public. It exposed the inadequacies of the legal framework, leaving many pondering how justice, indeed, can be truly served in a nation haunted by the horrors of a predator like Garavito. In the small, tight-knit community of Greenwood, the impact of the heinous crime was profound, leaving an indelible mark on society. The shockwaves of terror echoed through homes, schools, and businesses, shaking the very foundation of the town's sense of security. The trauma inflicted upon the survivors and affected families would forever alter their lives, casting a long and haunting shadow. Sleepless nights turned into endless therapy sessions as they battled with the nightmares and anxiety that plagued their every waking moment. Homes once filled with laughter became cold and desolate as grief and fear permeated the air. Yet within this darkness, a resilient spirit emerged, as the community rallied together to support and uplift those impacted. Together, they vowed to rebuild and heal, defying the darkness by refusing to let it define them. In the dark annals of true crime, amidst the heinous acts committed by serial killers, one name sends shivers down spines: Luis Garavito. Known as the Beast, Garavito unleashed terror upon innocent children, claiming the lives of over 138 victims. But even in the depths of his depravity, Garavito clings to a glimmer of hope, the possibility of parole. For years he has tirelessly waged legal battles, desperate to secure his freedom, but the wheels of justice refuse to turn in his favor. Time and time again, Garavito's pleas are met with resolute denials, preserving the peace of mind for a society that fears his every breath. And whilst the Beast's attempts for release persist, he shall remain imprisoned, forever serving his sentence for the unspeakable nightmares he forever etched into countless lives. Luis Garavito, the Colombian serial killer convicted of brutally ending the lives of at least 138 young boys. represents the darkest depths of human depravity. As we reflect on his haunting story, it becomes evident that we must acknowledge the significance of raising awareness about serial killers and their unimaginable acts of horror. We cannot shy away from these narratives. Instead, we must confront them head-on. By understanding the methods, motives, and patterns of these killers, we can potentially prevent future tragedies. Furthermore, it is crucial that we support the families of the victims who endure immeasurable pain and suffering. Their voices should be heard, their losses acknowledged, and their healing fostered. Only through awareness, empathy, and active support can we begin to combat the legacy of these monsters and bring solace to those affected.